How's everybody feeling? Oh, you feel as good as you look. That's good. I like that. I like that. I have a theory, and I'm not any sort of scientist, but I've lived on this earth for 23 years, and I've studied poetry for, let's say, about 6 years out of those 23. And my small theory is that every poem is a love poem. And the reason I'm here to speak today is because the events and formidable blessings of my life have made it possible for others to believe that I may have some legitimate insights about poetry. I'm here because of my social relationship to the position of an artist, also because of my relationship to self-expression, and of course, my relationship to poetry. And I find it important to speak about poetry from a personal perspective because the acts of writing, studying, performing, and professing it have led me to a life of great passion. And it's important to live life in a passionate way because our deepest passions are so often well aligned with our deepest loves. And naturally, it is our love that will expose for us our capacities for beauty, creativity, purpose, success, or whatever it is we are truly seeking in this life. But I have a secret. I'm speaking to you as a lover first and a poet second. But I have a suspicion that tells me that the two are inextricably connected because I believe that love is in the essence of all self-expression and that all poetry is fundamentally motivated by and concerned about the matters of the intimate human heart. In his Nobel Prize acceptance speech, the great American novelist William Faulkner once said that all good writing comes from the problems of the human heart in conflict with itself. So for me, it is not far-fetched to believe that all works of poetry, and especially those works of literature that history remembers as masterworks, are fundamentally concerned with the intimate matters of the human heart. After all, the poet's task has always been about standing bare in this often confusing world and using the gifts of poetic articulation to convey those truths about the confusion and chaos of the world in a way that makes, I'm forgetting what I want to say. It's okay. The poet's task has always been about standing bare in this often confusing world and using the gifts of poetic articulation to convey the intimate truths about what makes this world the way it is. Wow, I'm forgetting my words. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to speak from my heart. Is that okay? Yeah. Can I speak from my heart instead? Okay, so the theory is very simple. I believe that the purpose of all things we do, all uses of our creative potential are for the purpose of catharsis. Catharsis being that feeling we get that makes us so elated whenever we express ourselves, that feeling of grand release. And I believe, essentially, that every human being upon this earth, no matter how they feel about their lives, no matter what they've experienced, whether their life has been very painful or not, what I believe is that all of us essentially are comprised and composed of love. And I believe that the purpose of our expressive potential, the purpose of all the art we create, all the dancing, all the jigging that we do, all the laughter that we sometimes convey, is to bring us back to our essential nature, which I believe to be love. Now, the reason I say that all poetry is love poetry is not because every poem I've ever read has been about rainbows and unicorns and all the beautiful things that this life can sometimes give us, but rather because I believe that our expressions are only valuable insofar as they can take us back to our essential nature. I believe that everybody who expresses themselves is doing so because there is something burning within us that tells us that we have a deep, 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 deep capacity to love, but the world around us is not always so willing to let us love. I believe that, the world is sometimes a very dangerous, unforgiving place, but I believe that our spirits are naturally predisposed to sort of rebel against that. So the reason we write, the reason we dance, the reason we do whatever we do that makes us happy is because there's something within us that is burning, burning, burning deeply and brightly for something better than what we've been given. So that's my theory about why every poem is deeply a love poem. because I believe that whatever confusion the world gives us, our capacity to express through art can put that confusion aside. If we learn ourselves well enough, if we understand the true nature of our spirit, I believe that we are able then to attune ourselves to love at all times. And that's the only reason that I've ever written a poem. My mouth is very dry. Can you hear it? I'm sorry. This is a very, oh, it's even called compliments. That's nice. It's exactly what I needed. Wow. I'll tell you something. I can rehearse as much as I want to, but there's nothing that replicates the feeling of doing something as grand as what this appears to be. Now, in introducing me, Jeremy said that I have a great capacity for words, and I wrote a bunch of pretty words, and I was about to, really, give them to you. But then I was like, wow, I'm really flipping nervous right now. So rather than use my brain, thank you for clapping. I like those sounds. I was even gonna come out here singing and dancing and stuff, make it really performative and whatever. But Jeremy said that I have a great capacity for words, and I figured instead of using my brain, which is doing a lot of this right now, it's being very difficult. What I'll do is I'll use my heart, and in that way I can communicate my point. There's a whole meta thing, because I'm using love to talk about love, and you'll all understand it because you are lovers too, right? Oh, I knew this would work out. Okay. So does everybody understand what I really mean when I say that we are all love beings, and the reason that we communicate, the reason that we express, the reason that we create art is so that we can clear up all the junk that life gives us and return back to our loving selves. Now, that's about as articulate as I can be off the top of my head. Would you guys like to hear a poem now? Yes, I know how to do this. Okay. Ready? This is a poem. Yeah, you know what it is. You'll hear it. Oh, I should say something else. Can I do that? Yeah. Okay. I also this poem is not so much about the same sort of love that I've been talking about, but as this poem is about a failed relationship, the reason it connects is because I was very, very deeply confused at the time that relationship failed, and I used these words, the poem that you're about to hear, in order to articulate my confusion, document my confusion, and then be able to read my confusion on the page in a way that was tangible and clear to myself, as a way of understanding everything that I was going through. I used poetry to heal myself, which is about, I think, the greatest thing that I could do with it. Sometimes I get paid to do it. I don't know if you could tell why that would be so, but the greatest thing that I've ever done with poetry is document my difficult spiritual journey through this life. And this is one poem that has done that for me. It's called Love Is This. It goes like this. Rest assured that I love you. Rest assured that I love you. And in my heart, I'm sure you do. You rest assuredly with the love that I have for you, just as I rest assuredly with the love that I have from you. But we knew that we loved well before we began touching. But we touched so much that we lost touch with what pure love means. Until I touched you strongly enough that it was hard to touch without lusting. But when I lusted for your touch, you touched back. So everything was still lovely until I touched you and you didn't touch back. So I had to step back and begin wondering the answer to the foolish question of, does she still love me? The answer is, of course, yes, because we understand that we are purely love beings. But a part of me was hurt purely because I understood how much I loved being beside her. touching her, kissing her in ways that are loving, but my love of touch made me lose sight of the fact that this sister isn't just a love thing. Furthermore, I understand that human skin is never worth just touching, because the only human contact is two light hearts communicating something. And so talk we did, with one human hand pressed against the cage of divine ribs, with the impression of our pressing of skin left two once whole hearts divided. So what I'd like to underline is, I used to say I needed not to know what lay beneath those clothes as long as we were free enough to open all previously closed doors. And so, as we disrobed, I knew it could only be so because our hearts were to one another already exposed. But the path that those two hearts chose was too steep not to be rode under the pressure of love. And so because of the illusion of my love ever being inadequate, energy forms in my heart is to express how much I've missed that kiss. But the truth is, the more I miss, the more I miss, because the divine reality is simply this: every moment is perfect, so there must be love, even if it feels like this. So forgive me for ever wanting more. I say I love you, I love you, I love you. So essentially the loving kiss could never be to die for, because love is this, and this, and this. So I'll live for it. I will live through it. My love of yourself is more profound than the meeting of fingers and lips. But we could kiss again only because I know that love is limitless. But for now, I shut my mouth, because love is this, and this, and love you.
They saw their first dentist.